Man saves abandoned puppy. When the vet sees it, he turns pale. When a kind-hearted man rescued an abandoned puppy he found on the side of the road, he had no idea how extraordinary his act of kindness would turn out to be. Taking the tiny animal to the vet for a checkup seemed routine, but the vet's reaction left him stunned. What the vet discovered would change everything. Caleb Myers, a 27-year-old, lived in the small town of Pine Creek, nestled on the edge of Oregon. Surrounded by dense forests and renowned for its stunning natural beauty, Pine Creek had been home to Caleb's family for generations. Working at the local library, Caleb was well known among residents as a kind and helpful young man. Caleb had always loved animals, especially dogs. His loyal companion, Tyson, a German shepherd he had raised from a puppy 5 years ago, was more than just a pet. He was a true member of Caleb's family. Every evening after work, Caleb and Tyson would take long walks in the woods, cherishing the beauty of nature and their time together. One warm summer evening, Caleb and Tyson set out for their usual walk. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, and the air was rich with the scent of pine trees and blooming wildflowers. As Caleb strolled along a familiar path, Tyson ran ahead, eagerly exploring. Suddenly, Tyson stopped and began sniffing the air intently. His ears stood straight up and his tail stiffened. Caleb noticed his dog's unusual behavior and asked, "What's up, Tyson? Did you smell something?" The dog whined softly and ran towards a bush. Caleb followed him, feeling that something unusual was happening. Pushing through the bushes, Caleb saw Tyson cautiously sniffing something small and fluffy. As he got closer, the young man was surprised to find a tiny black-furred puppy. The puppy was so small it could easily fit in his hand. It was trembling all over and whining softly, clearly in need of help. Caleb gently picked the little creature up. His heart sank with pity for the helpless being. "Poor thing," he whispered. "Where's your mom?" Caleb muttered, glancing around for an adult dog, but none was nearby. As darkness fell, he realized he couldn't leave the puppy alone in the forest. Without hesitation, he tucked the tiny creature into his jacket pocket and headed back to town, Tyson walking beside him and occasionally glancing at the pocket as if guarding the foundling. At home, Caleb made a temporary nest from an old sweater in a cardboard box. Unsure of the puppy's breed, he focused on feeding and warming it. He spent a sleepless night feeding it every 2 hours with a special milk formula he'd purchased from a 24-hour veterinary pharmacy. Tyson stayed by the box, taking on the role of the puppy's protector. The next morning, Caleb called work and took the day off to care for his new ward. He named the little one Bruno, though he still couldn't determine its gender. All day long, Caleb read online about how to raise puppies, trying to figure out what breed Bruno belonged to. Days passed, and Bruno grew rather quickly. Caleb fully immersed himself in caring for his new pet. He fed Bruno every few hours, monitored his body temperature, and constantly checked if everything was okay. Tyson also played an active role in caring for the puppy, often lying next to the box, keeping Bruno warm. Over time, Bruno fully opened his eyes and began moving around more actively. At that moment, Caleb began to notice that Bruno didn't quite look like an ordinary puppy. He had a long snout and a very flexible body. Bruno's fur was soft and fluffy, but it wasn't like the fur of any dog or cat Caleb had ever seen. When Bruno grew enough to climb out of the box, Caleb began to notice his surprising agility and curiosity. The puppy could climb into the most unexpected places and squeeze through very narrow gaps. This puzzled Caleb even more, and he started suspecting that Bruno might not be a puppy after all. Despite his growing doubts, Caleb continued caring for Bruno with the same love and devotion. He set up a special corner for his pet in his apartment with toys, small climbing obstacles, and a cozy sleeping house. Bruno quickly adapted to his new home, becoming an integral part of Caleb and Tyson's lives. Playful and active, he loved climbing on Tyson's back or engaging in gentle playfights. Tyson treated him with remarkable care, protecting him from any danger. As Bruno grew, his intelligence and unique behavior amazed Caleb. He quickly learned his name, followed commands, and spent hours exploring, often climbing into unexpected places with boundless curiosity. One day, Caleb invited his friend Albert, an avid hunter familiar with forest animals, to see Bruno. Albert whistled in surprise. "What a creature you've got, Caleb. That's definitely not a dog or a cat. I've never seen anything like it." It could be some kind of exotic species. This comment puzzled Caleb even more. He began paying closer attention to Bruno's behavior, noting his unique traits. The pet preferred to sleep during the day and was active at night. He had excellent hearing and smell, as well as an amazing ability to squeeze through the narrowest gaps. Caleb took Bruno to the local veterinarian, Dr. Sanders, for an examination. After weighing, measuring, and running tests, Dr. Sanders admitted, "Caleb, I've seen many animals, but I've never encountered anything like Bruno. He's not a dog or cat, maybe a type of mustelid, but I'm not sure. More research is needed." This mystery deepened Caleb's attachment to Bruno, making him cherish his unique pet even more. Life in Pine Creek carried on, with Caleb working at the library while devoting his free time to Bruno and Tyson. During forest walks, Bruno amazed Caleb with his agility, climbing trees and exploring burrows. One day, an unexpected event during a walk made Caleb question Bruno's true nature even further. They came across a small clearing where wild rabbits were grazing. Tyson, as usual, tried to chase them, but Bruno behaved very differently. He instantly crouched, pressed himself to the ground, and began slowly sneaking up on the rabbits, moving with incredible grace and silence. Caleb watched this scene in amazement. Caleb had never seen Bruno display hunting instincts before. When Bruno was about to pounce on a rabbit, Caleb called out, and the pet stopped immediately, returning with visible disappointment. This incident deepened Caleb's curiosity about Bruno's true identity. Caleb began researching various wild animals, searching for clues, but no description fully matched his unusual pet. Meanwhile, Bruno became a local celebrity. Pine Creek residents often stopped to watch him during walks, sharing theories about his origins. Some thought he was an exotic cat, others a baby black fox or raccoon, but no one could be certain. Seeking answers, Caleb contacted specialists at a nearby zoo, sending photos and videos of Bruno. Days later, their response only added to the mystery. They were intrigued by Bruno but couldn't determine his species either. They suggested that Caleb bring the pet in for a more detailed examination. The idea of taking Bruno to the zoo gave Caleb mixed feelings. On the one hand, he wanted to know the truth about his pet, but on the other, he feared they might take him away for study or place him in one of the zoo's cages. Caleb couldn't imagine his life without Bruno and didn't want to part with him. In the end, Caleb decided not to take any action for the time being and to continue caring for Bruno as usual. He reasoned that it didn't matter what species his pet belonged to. The important thing was that they had become a real family. As months went by, Bruno continued to grow and become more agile and intelligent. Caleb taught him numerous tricks, which Bruno mastered effortlessly. He could open cabinet doors, fetch items for Caleb, and even help organize books in the library. Visitors were charmed by Caleb's unique assistant, often coming specifically to watch Bruno skillfully move books between shelves or bring requested additions to readers. One day, a newly arrived veterinarian in Pine Creek visited the library and immediately took an interest in Bruno. After a thorough examination and several tests, the vet confidently revealed that Bruno was a ferret. The news both surprised and delighted Caleb. Now, Caleb finally understood who Bruno was and could give him the proper care he needed. Most importantly, he realized that it didn't matter what species Bruno was, what truly mattered was the love and bond they shared. Grateful for the truth, Caleb was excited to better understand his unique pet and looked forward to many new adventures with Bruno and Tyson. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.